The Golden Knights clinch a playoff spot, but lose in overtime in San Jose to the Sharks 4-3.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick. You could find us on Twitter at LockedOnVGK, at Tony Dasco, at TDChrisG, and of course the YouTube channels Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe there. So, Chris, and oh, what an awful, awful turnover by Alex Pietrangelo in overtime as Logan Couture wins it. That big turnover. And I'm going to put all the blame squarely on Bruce Cassidy, who said after the game, and he was really moving on the swayometer, that this team was out of sorts. This is on Bruce Cassidy, and I just felt that they got a little bit too loose before the game, and they were not mentally prepared to play the Sharks.
The signs were there. I mentioned a few things, right? I mentioned one of his pregame discussions with the media, talks about all these playoff teams they're going to be facing and things like that. Never mentioned the Sharks. Big deal? Maybe, maybe not. But this happened a while back with the Chicago Blackhawks, if you recall. They had a tough road trip or a tough schedule coming up. They mentioned every single team besides the Chicago Blackhawks, and they end up losing that game as well. So, you look at this in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, that's a couple points that could really be, nice to have right now, especially given the injuries and all of a sudden how he seemed to be limping in to the end of the season. But going back strictly to last night's game right now, practice is canceled because of a whole multitude of reasons about fatigue and everything. I was all over that the second I saw that. So they announced Tuesday nights after the loss to Edmonton. After Bruce walks off, the gentleman, Nate, who runs all the PR stuff and everything, he says, okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 11:30, City National. Okay, cool, whatever. And then all of a sudden I see the pictures coming out. Oh, I guess practice was highly optional this morning, as in no one was on the ice. So fine, you cancel practice, you give the team a day of rest, whatever terminology you want to use. Fine. Bruce has the ultimate pulse on this team. I will give him credit for doing that. But why are we shaking the lineup? Why are we all of a sudden forcing Paul Cotter out there? No disrespect to Paul Cotter, just
the Booger
why?
Man doesn't even play. The Booger Man.
Our shutdown defenseman, right? Our shutdown defensive fourth line center. They just felt, okay, we're going to beat the Sharks. We're going to make some changes. It doesn't matter who we put out there. We're going to win this game. It's not how this is still the NHL. I don't care that the Sharks are having the type of season that they are. These are still NHL talented individuals that can win hockey games, and they're going to give you a game. And, I wanted to lead off, I guess, by starting here. Credit the Sharks. They played a good game. They showed up to work. They punched the clock. They gave VGK a game. As bad as VGK played, we're going to tear that apart for about the next 8 to 10 minutes or so. But credit the Sharks in a game where they could easily mail it in. Oh, we won on Tuesday. You better not play tonight. They did well. Credit the Sharks. Good game, Sharks.
Okay, so Jack Eichel, on a positive note, making it into the playoffs for the first time ever in his career. I think that's fantastic, and that would have been highlighted, I think, a little bit more had they won the contest last night. But that's terrific news because of what he has gone through in his journey. Okay, I want to get to the face-off circle. We talked about it yesterday.
VGK
Everyone
does too.
Now they're finally talking about it, right? Okay, so post-game, yeah, we have to do better in the face-off circle. Yeah, well, okay, you should have listened to our show yesterday, folks, because yesterday they lose in the face-off circle 30-18. Edmonton was 38-26. I am just concerned that this team cannot turn it on and off as they wish. And they have a couple of really tough games here where they don't get the benefit of the schedule, where they don't get a sandwich game in between for Minnesota. So I'm very concerned about that. VGK trailed 2-0, right? That opening goal, again, was a result of a face-off circle loss by Nick Waugh to Bordelot, and that started things off there. I'm really concerned about that. And then Keegan Colasar, 2 first period penalties committed.
So Chandler Stevenson on the faceoff conversation is now 11th in the league. And he was higher for a long time. He was like top 2, top 3 for a while. Of players that have greater than 50 faceoffs taken, Brian Fraze, of all people, Henderson Silver Knights, who registered enough games with the VGK, is actually 5th in the league overall right now. So maybe we got to think about making that play. I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, the faceoff situation, it's a concern, and it's a bigger concern in the playoffs when puck possession is even of much more, importance. You're not going to get as many power plays theoretically, so you have to get every advantage and every possible, every event that has an outcome, right? And you're just watching it happen. It just doesn't pass the eye test, and especially these defensive zone face-off law. I mean, listen, it happens in the neutral zone. Okay, fine, whatever. You lose it even in your own offensive zone. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world, right? You go and you get the puck, and I mean, there's plays designed about letting the other team win the face-off when you are in your offensive zone and you go and chase and try and get a turnover. But in the defensive zone, especially, just a 1-2-3 shot off the point, bounces, finds a way in the back of the net. That just those you got to limit those. And now all of a sudden, I mean, last week we're all high and mighty, right? Everything is good. We're getting ready for the Edmonton game, won the first 2 games of the roadie, and now all of a sudden a week later, you're wondering how this team is going to, survive past the first round. It's fair.
Yeah, it's just up and down. And now Edmonton draws to within a couple of points in the Pacific. There's a game in hand for VGK. 3 points back now are the Kings. That was a real important game. Edmonton, surprising that it was just a 2-0 contest final in favor of
my stats
Edmonton.
betting, my sports betting account surprised also.
So the VGK 7-game road win streak comes to an end. The power play unit that is ranked 16th, Nick Waugh did atone for a moment on the for the lost face-off by scoring the goal. That goal to Barbashev, rather, where Barbashev scored the goal. And the one thing that, and maybe this is one of those areas where VGK, I felt, was a little bit exploited, in that if teams can stop the VGK transition game, they're going to have a chance to win. And I thought that San Jose did a really good job in just cutting off any sort of rushes for the Vegas Golden Knights. The transition game for the Vegas Golden Knights was non-existent. Again, they lost faceoffs, and the 2 big turnovers, it was Chandler Stevenson and then Pietrangelo at the end, and that did them in.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot.
You're not so high on Chandler these days.
No, well, so I think I was very fair last night. Stevenson, you're just watching the game. This is even before the turnover he had at the blue line that led to the Sharks coming. I mean, there's 2 things happen on that goal. One, he does just a poor turnover on the far blue line, and then he is late getting back on the play for whoever scored the goal to take that lead there. So it was a 1-2 punch right there. And Chandler Stevenson, no one should be able to beat him in a race from end to end on the ice, but a small handful of people in the NHL. Going back to what I was originally going to say,
transition.
Stevenson. Yeah, back to Stevenson. So 3rd period, he had a very good game. I thought he was one of the better VGK players in the 3rd period. Very noticeable. Not that he just got the shot off that eventually led to the game tying goal, but he was just creating opportunities. You hear his name in a much more positive fashion the deeper the game went. So I don't recall if the lines got shuffled. I mean, I know Cassie made the comment the bench got shortened. I didn't look at the time on ice report, but I'm sure Paul Cotter played about 38 seconds, and Keegan Kolesar might not have even seen the ice in the 3rd period. So it was good to see Stevenson get better. And on a positive note, VGK, after the final commercial break, they showed up. They did have a good last 6 minutes of the game. And if they would have played that type of hockey, this is a 5-1 victory the whole game. But by that point, San Jose is in shutdown mode. They do give up a goal to, for VGK to tie it, but they're able to weather the storm until Pietrangelo did what he did. But at least VGK showed. I mean, they went from 11 shots on goal, like with under 10.
They had 9. They had 9 shots on goal through 2 periods.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, and they went like 8-something minutes in the 2nd period without a shot on goal, which just could never happen against a team like the Sharks, who are not known for their defense. So there was a good moment there, at least in the third, where they did turn it on. They did realize what was at stake. Small, not even a moral victory type of thing, but something at least worth pointing out. And it's what's unfortunate now is I doubt they're practicing today. It's a travel day. I mean, I know it's only San Jose, but it's still a travel day. And tomorrow will be a light skate. And then all of a sudden here comes Minnesota, the team that I believe is right on top of the Central now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, they're surging. They've been playing well. We'll get into them in our next segment. But, Larry Brossoit had never given up. This is a strange statistic in the game last night. I watched the San Jose feed, by the way. I just wanted to see if
I was up and back.
Yeah, it was a pretty good feed, to be honest with you.
It was. They were good.
Fair.
They were very good.
Very fair. Yeah, and Larry Brossoit had never given up a goal to any current Shark going into that game. And then they give up 4 goals. Like, that's just, you should not give up 4 goals in a game like that.
And they weren't really like great goals. Like Brossoit did not have a good game. He did not have a good game.
No, the one went off the stick of White Cloud. The other one appeared to be deflected, but it wasn't. They weren't great goals that they were scoring.
And the Sharks weren't peppering either.
No, they were not peppering. You're right. So, there were a couple of cheap goals at the very least in that game. And I just thought the approach for VGK was just too nonchalant.
We're concerned about the goaltending again, Tony. We're concerned about the goaltending right now.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to the roller coaster ride. So how do you play the goalies this weekend? It's going to have to be quick on the front end, Brossoit on the back end of the home and home.
I'm looking for like a blindfold, a dart, and a dice right now, and I think that's the method. Listen, there's a lot on Jonathan Quick's going to be the playoff starter right now. Is tough as that is to say at the moment, because we look at some of these recent starts.
He'll be fine.
I think he'll be okay in the playoffs. I hope he'll be okay in the playoffs. The trust that was there, listen, the honeymoon's over with Jonathan Quick. The honeymoon's over. It's not about the name Jonathan Quick. It's about the results now. And of course, things were really well in the beginning. He had some good games, and now you look. I mean, he's had 2 shellackings also. The Calgary and Edmonton situation. You can go a little deeper into those games, but at the end of the day, those are goals against of, I think for JQ was 5 on Tuesday because he got pulled and Brossoit let 1 in, and then however many he let in the Flame situation. So, there's some concerns right now, but
bet the over.
Oh God, yeah, over all day.
But
positive side,
the Quick effect, man. Even if he's not in goal.
A little bit of positivity. April, It's only going to be April 1st right now. There are still 6 games remaining. Is that correct? 7 games remaining. Okay. So that's basically 2 calendar weeks plus or minus to figure things out. Maybe we do get some news about Logan. Maybe we get some news about Aiden. And I guess the worst thing almost is if game 79, Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson return to practice. Then what? Like someone upstairs, so many questions.
I wonder if the front office started to meddle and say, you know what, you need to play this Cotter kid. You need to do this or that. I'm so curious about that. Yeah, there's no way.
Listen, it took the game 75 to say there's interference, Tony. That's pretty good this year.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
Is that just a 2-minute penalty? Yeah. Okay, we'll have to get back on track here. So VGK has a home and home, a back-to-back versus the Minnesota Wild, which could say a lot about where things wind up for the Vegas Golden Knights. They play Saturday night at the Fortress, and then Monday in Minnesota. We talk about the VGK Minnesota matchup coming up next right here on Locked On Golden Knights. No matter how the game went last night, not very well, anytime that you take the ice, you have got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot by winning, by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you are hiring, you definitely need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, you can interview, and you can hire all in one place. And Indeed is the only job site where you are guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you just do not pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need to find that one powerful hiring partner that can help you do that all, and that is Indeed. It partners with you every step of the way, from Instamatch to assessments to virtual interviews, and Indeed makes it easy to hire great talent. According to ComScore, Indeed is the #1 job site worldwide. So definitely start hiring right now. There's a $75 sponsored job credit waiting for you to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Again, it's Indeed.com/lockedon. And today is the final day where you can capitalize on this offer. Indeed.com/lockedon. You can definitely go there. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, you definitely need Indeed. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. And thanks for making us your first listen every day. You can find us wherever your podcasts are available. And yesterday, I found the podcast on Odyssey, which is a great partner each and every day. So you can go on the Odyssey app and you can tune in there everywhere. We are global, brother. And definitely check out the YouTube channel where you could see Chris's backdrop and you could see my backdrop as well. That was a bad one. And definitely subscribe there. Since Kirill Kaprizov went down, Chris, on March the 8th, his team has rallied. They're playing very well. The Wild, since he went down, since he's out, 7-1-2 since that time. And a 21-year-old player by the name of Matthew Boldy has now taken over. 11 goals since that time in just a short month. And the Wild, off of a 4-2 penalty marred game, that was a big win in Colorado on Wednesday night. This will be a really tough home and home, back and forth for the VGK. This is going to be difficult.
No doubt. And it should be difficult right now. I mean, Minnesota, they're obviously trying to get a banner all of a sudden, which is certainly a nice change from, they were just kind of there hanging out. Like, you knew they were going to probably make the playoffs. There was never a concern about that. But surging to the division was something that I don't think any of us were necessarily looking at from afar. And remember, they traded Kevin Fiala in the offseason. They traded Fiala. We're like, what is happening here? Like, they're trading one of their key scoring pieces. And all of a sudden, it took until, this point of the year, but they're finally, figuring things out right now. Fleury comes in 24, 13, and 4, 281 goals against. So, I mean, he's given the team a chance, but he's not necessarily, having that banner type of situation. Philippe Gustafsson, 29-5 with a 201 goals against. Jeez. So curious which way they're going to go on Saturday. You got to think Fleury would start, but I would not lock that in.
I wouldn't lock that in. No,
I wouldn't lock it in.
I might go the other way around. I'd go.
Yeah, I mean, you take the distraction out, and you give Fleury his victory lap. He'll be out there, kissing babies and catching all the flowers and stuff like that, and let him have fun in warm-ups and be able to take it all in instead of the pressure of winning a hockey game in this type of environment. But a lot of times coaches, they do give the starts to the players when they have that type of history. So who knows? But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and this is the challenge that the team needs right now. If they can come back and have a very good winning effort on Saturday, that could also make this game against the Sharks feel a lot better.
You have to get to the finish line if you're VGK. Right now, you have to get to the finish line.
No, they got to win the Pacific.
No, you have to get. I didn't say limp. I said get.
Right.
Get there.
Yeah.
They have to win the Pacific. They have to definitely be up there in contention the final week of this season for the Western Conference lead.
Yes.
The Wild are red hot. At least 1 point, Chris, in 20 of their last 21 games. So this is going to be really tough. They've got 22 victories at home, the most in the National Hockey League. And then at the trade deadline, they were very active. They picked up Marcus Johansson. They also had John Klingberg was doing nothing in Anaheim, right? And then he's now contributing. And Oscar Sundqvist from Detroit has found a new life. They're pretty tough. They're playing very well. They're skating well, and they're playing very physical. And I'm just curious if VGK loses the front end of this home and home, could be in trouble. Could be in trouble because Minnesota is so good at home, and they'll have momentum. So a split, and I think you're still okay. You can't lose two. You cannot lose 2 games in this series.
No, I mean, losing 2 games would be very tough right now for the grand scheme of things. Going back on the standing side, like you said earlier, we got 3 points over the Kings, same games played, 2 points over the Oilers, 1 game in hand. Minnesota can tie for the conference lead if they do beat us on Saturday in regulation, which all of a sudden, now we're going to the the tiebreakers and such, trying to figure which team would have home ice advantage should they meet in the playoffs. Should they end with the same number of points? Even a split, yeah, fine. We'll take a split, maybe 3 or 4 points if we can get lucky and one goes to overtime and we win the other game outright. That would be even really nice as well. So let's trying to figure out like where they should be overall points wise. 7 games left, 1,400. I mean, if they can find a way to like that 8 to 9 more points in these last 7 games, that probably wins the division. Maybe not the West overall, but I think 108, 109 points would be a nice target and a good way to finish the season. Hopefully, it keeps us ahead of Minnesota and Dallas and LA and Edmonton and all of a sudden all these teams that are surging. Never even said a word about Colorado, the Stanley Cup champion right now. I mean, this is getting fun. What's not getting fun is when they're going to bill me for my playoff tickets, but otherwise, it's getting fun right now. It's getting exciting.
So, when do you think that's going to happen
for the playoff tickets?
Yeah, I mean, when will they announce it today?
So what happens right now is Wednesday, there will be a public on sale for tickets. Sometime between then and I presume probably today, we will get an email with what our prices per tickets. And then VGK season ticket holders will have the opportunity to opt in to the night salutes, which gives us like a 10 or 15% discounts. But it also locks the ability to sell the tickets via Access, the team's official third party. If you opt out of the night salute, you pay like 10 or 15% more for your tickets, but you also have the ability to resell them through Access. So that's a choice that fans obviously make, and let's see what happens.
Ryan Reeves and Mark AF, they both return here to the Fortress. It's going to be interesting. And Reeves, does Reeves make a run at anyone?
Yeah. He's got a job to do. He'll make a run. Absolutely. He'll definitely look to put someone on their butt right now. Speaking really fast, I will say I liked Marchessault last night. We got a little glimpse of playoff Marchessault when he planted. I forgot who it was in the corner.
Feisty.
Yeah, he's got a gear to him, and you're going to start seeing Marchessault stepping his game up a lot in the physical department. I don't think he's going to do it against Ryan Reeves tomorrow night, but he will definitely. I mean, he'll take a shot at him if he can, but it won't end very well. Be pretty funny, actually.
It's great because then we'll see Reeves here for the softball game this summer, and they'll be buddies drinking.
Yeah, and then he'll break his ankle again in left field, and who knows what's going to happen there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Philip Gustafson, you just touched on him. He's just playing out of his mind, and I think it's good because they did reach a lull, right? Minnesota, when we saw Fleury was just getting peppered, right? And then all of a sudden,
everybody.
Right. Gustafson steps in, and they have a really good 1-2 punch. And when you have Fleury, you have that experience going into the playoffs that makes them even more dangerous. And
Gustafson is only a rookie 2 or 3 years removed now. So, I mean, he's
very young, and he's really good. And he's allowed 3 or more goals in just 10 out of 34
He's got a pretty good mentor also.
Okay. And so it's going to be the magic number 4 goals in each of these games.
Sure, but my gut tells me you're going to actually have pretty good defensive efforts on both sides. Physical, tight checking, very little open ice. VGK is going to have to find a way to get behind the Minnesota defense via chip and chase, dump and chase. This could be some boring 80s and 90s hockey, honestly, at least on the VGK side. Minnesota might have a little more skill with the injury situation to the Vegas Golden Knights, so they might be able to be a little more creative, but this might really need to be a north-south in-your-face type of game. Get the puck in the corner, go get it, work hard. Chandler Stevenson, grab your nuts and go to work, right?
There you go. Coming up
next.
That
in a while. Ooh, that's been a while. There we go.
I know. Speaking of grabbing nuts, we're going to be grabbing WTFs. There's a lot of the comments, right? So we're going to get to that. It's what the Friday
I don't
coming
know if
your
I agree
way.
with the transition, but we'll take it.
Coming your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Well, we've got the Final Four in basketball. Major League Baseball has begun. So has the agita for me and all of my Yankee fan friends. But now is the perfect time to download FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook because new customers get that no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It is safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use, Then you could bet on everything in basketball, from the money line to the point scores to the three-pointers drained. And we've got player props, player points, rebounds, assists, and FanDuel lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. That's right. So don't miss out on your chance for your no sweat first bet. It's up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. We appreciate you tuning in, and thank you so much for making us your first listen and for listening deep into the show, because we get a lot of shout outs from folks that, we just make one little minor comment in segment 3 and everyone's honest. So it's great, but it's a lot of fun. And I did not get a lot of bad chirps at me last night. I just tweeted out, Chris, right before the game, that I didn't feel that this team was going to be ready. It's like I just knew that VGK was not.
The practice did it for me. The practice did it for me for this game. I told you. And then I saw the lineup. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Okay, so what about the clinch, though, before the game? I know that Ashley had asked Cassidy about, you clinched, just 30 minutes before the game. Is there some sort of a letdown with the team? And is there a locker room celly when you wrap up a playoff berth? Was there a locker room celly?
This is not Major League Baseball, Tony.
Okay.
Not Major League Baseball.
All right, let's get to WTF. WTF, I'm just going to start off. Sooner or later in the final, 6-7 games, VGK is going to get hit with an embellishment penalty. They're going to get hit with one. Watch how they're drawing penalties. Your guy, Willie, Free Willie. He runs into sticks and falls over and draws penalties. Watch it. Just watch how they're drawing penalties these days. They will get hit with an embellishment penalty down the stretch. WTF. I don't like how they're drawing penalties. Watch what they're doing. Watch how they're just flopping.
The NHL, they did a good job getting away from. There was a period of time where, like, everything, okay, they call the opposition for whatever they did, and then they get the guy for the embellishment. And, like, I don't know. It's a good penalty to have for the refs in their weaponry, but I think they've eliminated a lot of that in the game. I hope. But I hear what you're saying. But Carlson had a good game last night. He did a good job getting the puck from Reimer and on that goal that Haig got. So let's give Carlson
credit.
He
missed two cracks at the goal first, okay, and he just got.
Carlson's been doing better lately. He's been doing better lately. I'll give him credit. I'm on the train with you, Tony, about the memes and everything you do about Carlson. But last couple of games, good things have been happening.
All right.
So that's where I'll start.
WTF.
Before I get too deep, I talk so much about my sports card world. You guys want to get a taste of what the sports card world is right now? Go to MGM this weekend. There's an event called the Mint. It's basically a big card show. It's a little bigger than just like people buying and selling in cards. It's a lifestyle show. And it just, if you don't understand what the world of sports cards is, go to MGM anytime between now and Sunday. Huge show. You will be absolutely blown away. I'll be there Saturday before the Golden Knights game hanging out. So moving on from that. So listen, guys, Golden Knights, hear me out here. Connor Bedard. We want nothing to do with that guy in the West. Nothing to do with him in the Pacific. The Golden Knights gave San Jose the extra points to make it a little more difficult for the Sharks to win the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. So WTF to everyone thinking that VGK just, played terrible last night. Nope, they dumped that game to give the Sharks a less of a chance to get Connor Bedard. WTF.
That _guy 448 on Twitter. Great job calling this a trap game yesterday, as we did on Locked On Golden Knights. But WTF was that? Can't take down a tanking Sharks team. Oh my goodness. Okay, Wausau Aaron, one of our favorite contributors too. He said, Chris and I may have the same one here, but WTF is why scratch Booger. I like that they're calling him Booger too. Didn't Cassidy slot him as the fourth line center immediately after the trade, losing confidence in him? Seriously, what was that, Chris?
Overthinking it. That's it. That's all it is.
We've got Jackie at Dancing Roses. WTF. ESPN's coverage of the Edmonton game on Tuesday. The announcers were blatantly obvious in their preference of EDM over VGK. Everything they said was so negative. Local announcers for VGK are more neutral about other teams. I actually muted the TV and listened to the radio broadcast. WTF. There are some homers out there, and I thought that the San Jose feed was very, very fair last night.
Great.
So I've got a WTF. VGK giving up 3 power play goals to Edmonton. WTF. WTF. And this is down the stretch. And down the stretch they come, right? WTF.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm of the perspective that I don't care about the Edmonton power play or how good it is. You have to stop it. You have to stop it. End of story. And I'm sure we'll hit that a lot more in the next week or 2 weeks when we find out who some of these playoff matchups are going to be. Okay, WTF, VGK's in the playoffs. Who cares? Moving on. It's a checkpoint. Fine, they're in the playoffs. Whoop-de-doo. Stop celebrating it. But bigger WTF right now. What is with all these just people constantly still trying to attack the Vegas Golden Knights for their farm system, for their youth players, for the trades that have been made? Like, it is happening all over the place. Like, it's when VGK gets some success going, okay, let's find something bad, something mean to say about the Golden Knights. And, we don't develop players like Cody Glass, who's finding his game right now. Finding his game, Cody Glass, he's going to finish with 34 points on the Nashville Predators, who, on any other team, he'd be lucky to be a fourth line player. And that's no disrespect to Cody Glass, but when people make these comments about VGK not developing players, you forget about players like Haig and White Cloud and Kolasar and Cotter and Dorofeev and Patera and Logan Thompson and Keaton Korczak, who's contributed, Braden Pahals, who has contributed, Brisson, who they are purposely going nice and slow with, who will contribute. They traded Zach Dean from the QMJRWCHL, whatever the heck it's called. Oh my God. Can you believe that, Tony? Like, all these people that just constantly,
that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you say 9 letters, you're gonna get at least half of them right in that. But point being is, why does everyone just love attacking VGK for absolutely meaningless things when they don't acknowledge the fact that now we're going to be in the playoffs 5 of 6 seasons, 3 trips to the conference finals, 4 playoff, soon to be 5 playoff appearances? Like, who gives a blankety blank about all that other stuff right now? You have your window and you go for it. And the window is going to be here this year. It's going to be here probably next year. Probably going to be here the year after that, the way they're making their deals right now. So all these just mid-level hacks who love going after the VGK for these just meaningless narratives, let's talk about results. I don't care about the farm. I don't care. Show me what's happened on the ice. Show me how this team has a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup. I don't give a crap about anything else outside of that. WTF.
Okay, so a lot of these mid-level hacks are folks where their teams that they cover are out of the playoffs. Have you noticed that? Okay, so there you go. We've got one from at.
Let's say mid-level. That's probably too much respect.
Speak about all these letters. At VGKDALBX.
Okay.
WTF is going on with the turnovers. We are giving games away when we turn over pucks in our own zone. Maybe they haven't put in any take care of the puck drills in practice, because we can't and we won't win in the playoffs like this. WTF. They have to do better with puck management, right?
I mean, sure. Listen, guys, it's game 75 right now. This is, the dog days of the summer part 2, so to speak, right? VGK had their struggles in the middle when there was injuries, which there's injuries again right now. Go figure. So I don't want to, I can't say that. I don't want to moan about a narrative right now, but you do. And we actually, and Tony, we did a pretty good job actually waiting this long, but you have to acknowledge the fact that we're without Riley Smith, that we're without Mark Stone, that we're without Will Carrier, and that last night we're without Shea Theodore. And we're without Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill, who were
a violin.
There you go. Thank you. That's a violence. Good. We were without all that.
Did state-run television, did they point this out last night when they were trailing in the game? They must have.
I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I honestly was more on the Sharks feed last night too. Okay. So the parts of the Golden Knights I did see, I didn't mind it a whole lot though. I mean, I think the TV guys, I think they're usually pretty fair. I think you get I think definitely Gary Lawless gives you a little more of the, real life perspective than some of the TV guys. I'll definitely say that.
Okay, so okay, I just wanted to jump in. Okay,
Let's go.
WTF?
Get in there.
Why are you jumping
Get
in,
in there.
Cardasco?
It's okay.
Whenever there's a turnover in the game, radio or television for VGK, they never say who turned over the puck. We'll never say it. Suddenly,
or the final score when they
team,
get blown out too. Barstool Sports. There you go.
Okay, go ahead. Go with the Barstool Sports take. Go ahead. No, it's pretty
All
good.
right, so Barstool Sports put a funny tweet out there. It was after the Edmonton game. The Vegas Golden Knights, for whatever reason, refused to tweet the exact final score of the game. They just
every team does. And every team does.
Send puppies and whatever, and just whatever snide comments. Then eventually they did put out the recap, which showed it. But Barstool Sports uses a very colorful way of a lot of 4-letter words and stuff to explain things. It's very entertaining. I enjoy it a lot, actually. And they were blasting the VGK media people, whoever runs the social feed, for not putting it out there, because in their own creative way, they're dogging them. But they also did say this is just this is the job. This is the respect you offer the other team after they kick your butt. You put the score out there. Put the score out there.
Right. So that's a
WTF. The little small WTF for the media for not getting that out there.
And okay, so the social media department with VGK,
I guarantee. I knew you wanted this. I knew you were going with this.
No. Here's all I'm doing. I was just going to say that they're getting leadership is telling them not to post a final 7-2 score. Oh, where was I going?
I thought you were gonna say about the text you sent me last night, and they're watching what that's okay.
taking my tweets away, rolling with the homies, which I put out with Coolio earlier this week with the meme, and then they put rolling with the homies on their tweet. Come on, man.
They're watching you, Tony. They're watching you and no one else, Tony.
Our boy Tommy Vegas at Darth Tommy 774. WTF, you cannot drive 1 mile in Vegas without seeing this crap. Single lane ahead, all these traffic cones. It's getting bad. Even on the routes that I take where I don't go onto the freeway, everything's shut down.
215, 215 and 15. They did it last night. They went from 4 lanes to 2 lanes in the interchange for no good reason. At 1 in the afternoon. No, 11:30 in the morning. Like, why?
Wait, 1 in the afternoon, 11. Okay, yesterday morning.
Late morning.
Late morning. Okay.
All right, 1 minute. Take us home.
Okay, we are going to go home, and we'll have our predictions on Twitter, so check that out, and our locks of the night and all that. It's going to be an entertaining couple of games against Minnesota. We'll have recaps of the Saturday game on Monday, preview of the game in Minnesota coming up on Monday morning. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. You have a terrific weekend. We appreciate you making us your first listen every day. We'll see you Monday right here on Locked On Golden Knights.